Hello, my name is Beverly. I'm a member of the Generalist Ladies of the Historic General Dodge House, and today I'm going to demonstrate in how to make scones. In your virtual, we're having a virtual tea in October, and in your box you'll have a recipe for the scones that we're making today. It calls for 2 cups of all-purpose flour that I've already pre-measured, a tablespoon of baking powder, and half a teaspoon of salt. They say use table salt, not kosher salt. Two tablespoons of granulated sugar, and those are the 4 dry ingredients. Our next step would be to combine them, and I always like to use a whisk to combine my dry ingredients to make sure that we don't have baking powder or salt in one spot. So you could count to 50 or just stir, hum your favorite song, sing happy birthday, something just to mix your dry ingredients. Next step says cut in butter until the mixture resembles large crumbs. The recipe calls for 4 tablespoons of butter, which is 1/2 a stick. And so we're going to cut the butter and just show, and I use unsalted butter. You could also use probably margarine, but it probably would not have as rich a taste or texture by using an ole. So cut your squares, and we're going to cut them again. And it doesn't matter the size. By doing it in small parts, it will be easier to make a crumble mixture. Now, the scone recipe we're using today, there's probably different variations, and you're going to notice at the bottom of the sheet, I've given you variations. It's after you stir in the butter and make the crumbs where you can add your variations in. For example, it could be adding a fruit like blueberries, dried cranberries, raisins. Or you could do something different and adding in lemon. For example, adding in lemon zest and even some lemon juice for a lemon or a tart flavor. We now have our butter. We're going to put it in our bowl. And now, using a pastry, you're trying to cut in your butter. I always find when I'm cutting in butter or any type of margarine using the pastry thing, it gets stuck, so it's always important to have handy the spatula to help you out, because you want a good mixture of the items. So I've made this recipe many times. I've added the variations, but what's nice is you can just make it plain, and I'd recommend that the first time through. And then you would be able to eat it with butter. You could be using lemon curd, jams, jellies when you make it, when you have coffee with your scone. I think scone recipes originally probably came from England when they would have their high tea. Okay. our next step would be that we have to beat our 2 eggs and stir in half and half our cream. So I've already broken my eggs, take them out of the shell. I'm going to beat them, and then we'll put in the half and half. I have found some recipes calling for pure cream. To me, that made it almost too rich, and you'd have to almost buy like whipping cream or heavy cream. I found recipes that you can even make them with milk. So scones are really almost like another example of a biscuit. Okay, it called for 2 eggs and a half a cup, a half and half, or heavy cream or whipping cream, and we're going to use half and half. Now I'm not going to go to the refrigerator to put the cream away or half and half because we might need to add some more as we're working through so it won't be too dry. So the next step I'm doing is just mixing the egg and the cream mixture together. I want everything out, so that's why I'm using the little spatula to clean the bowls so we have all our liquid in the container. Then our step is you've got to stir. You want it not to over stir. You're going to have lumps because you'll have particles of the butter that's not totally broke apart, but you're trying to stir and mix it together. And if I didn't get in enough of the half and half, I will add a little bit more for consistency. You'll notice I have a little bowl over here of flour when we're going to knead it and spread it out and cut our variations. And it's important to, use all your ingredients. So I'm trying to make sure I've got everything mixed and it looking pretty good. The direction says turn the dough out onto a floured board and press together into a single lump. I'm going to divide this into probably one big ball, and then I'm going to separate it twice or cut it in half because I'm going to show you how to make a variation as we're working. We need our pan to put in. Okay. Start out with your mat. I use plastic. I like this one, it clings to the counter. I was so concerned if I would pull out my typical plastic one, it would start rolling on me. And then I'd have to start putting things in the corner to hold it down. Okay, we've got flour out. It's going to be messy, ladies. I think I'm going to change my variation. I'm going to just pull half of it out right now. And then I'll sprinkle some flour on it. And I'm shaping it into a ball. And it's all right that with your liquid that if you have to add flour to it, I'm just made into a ball and I'm shaping it out, patting it out. Now one of the variations you can use is like a cutter set that would be fancy design. I've got a heart shape, but today we're going to use circular. So I'll twist in. We'll set it on our tray. I'll twist again. I'm just going to slide it in so we can use all the dough. The General's ladies with their teas usually always serve scones at one of the courses, the first course, and we serve usually sometimes with honey, lemon curd variation. Okay, I'm going to just take like cookie dough that sometimes you have to roll into a ball. I'm going to take what was left over and what I pulled out. I'm going to roll it in a ball, and then I'm going to make it into one large single scone. Okay, now it's getting the rest of our dough out, and then I'm going to cut this portion a little differently. Again, the plastic mats, they really don't absorb the flour, and it's there and it's easy to pull together to get your pieces that are left over and to form them. Bread or making any type of dough is very flexible. And shape it. So again, this time I'm going to try to do more of a rectangle. So I'm shaping, flattening, and what we're going to do this time with a knife, I'm going to cut it into X shape or into 4 triangulars. Now to finish this off, the recipe said you can make 8 to 12 scones, and I made the recipe earlier today so you can see what the finished product looks like. Now our final step, and yes, I don't want to run to the sink and put my back to you, I'm just wiping off a little, some of the crumbs. Our final step is we're taking, again, half and half, and we're going to use a pastry brush and put half and half on the top. It'll just make a nice finished touch when you're baking it. The recipe called for baking it at 400 degrees for 15 minutes. And it looks like I have part coming apart. After I put the half and half on all the pieces, I'm going to sprinkle it with granular sugar, just to give a sweet taste or touch. Anyway, when the General's ladies have the teas, we usually do the scones. Our teas usually can seat up to 60 people, so we're really making this recipe many times in order to feed a group of women and men at our teas. This year our tea is a virtual tea, and it's in October, and you'll be able to see on the website of the Dodge House more information to be able to sign up. So this is our finished product, and I'm going to stick it in the oven to bake for 15 minutes. Timers work wonderful. This is our finished product. I took out of the oven, You can see it crackles, it rises nicely, and I'm ready to have friends over and to have coffee and scones for a break either in the morning or afternoon. Again, thank you for watching.